Paltrocast.
Look at that plant, dude. I have the same plant behind. I swear to you, it's a Diffenbachia, right? And I
Yeah,
and I
that's my wife's territory, but yeah,
oh,
different
mine is getting enormous. Sorry, I got excited, but I have so many. I would turn the camera around, but I have so many plants in my place. I'm a plant daddy, you know.
plant daddy. Is that the name of your next special?
Yeah, that's the name of the next special plant. Hashtag plant daddy. Yeah. How you doing, man?
Nonstop but good. I hope it's the same by you. I see it's water o'clock, not energy drink or coffee o'clock by you.
Well, I got a little smoothie here. We did a little workout today. I'm trying to get into Avenger shape. Trying to dress for the job I want. You know what I mean? So
Did Nanjiani ruin it for every comedian where they have to get into Avenger shape?
I think Matt Rife is doing that actually. So so he's making it so comedians have to post thirst traps now.
Oh boy. Well, hey, let's talk about you and your greatness, not
Thanks.
the workouts and all that. So Live at the
Yeah,
Village premiered about 2 weeks ago. You
yeah.
went the YouTube route. Did you know, hey, I want this to go YouTube as opposed to shopping to the traditional linear situation?
It was always gonna possibly. I feel like it was gonna lean towards that was the end. It was like basically a win-win situation. If nobody wanted it, we could still have complete control and put it on YouTube.
Mhm.
An article with LA Times just dropped today, talking a little bit about different comedians talking about putting self-publishing specials, and I think that's
Yeah.
kind of going to be the model going forward. If I think the streamers, for them, it's a win-win because they don't have to. If it performs well on a YouTube, they could license it later and say, "Hey, let's put it
Yeah.
on our." I think so. For them, they have no risk involved anymore, so they can just. And then as a creator, it's if it goes viral, that's huge, and that's how most people get their content. I feel like now a lot. So
Yeah, comedians seem to be the last ones to realize to own the masters the way that musicians
yeah,
learned to as a result of what went on in the 60s and 70s and 80s. The DIY thing of, oh, I can have an indie label, I find an audience, then I pursue a distributor rather than a label. But you, in the case, are a musician. So
right.
I'm guessing you knew that a little better than most comics.
100%. And even I'm talking with my management about how we're going to release the music. Right now, it's all self-published through DistroKid. I pay what, $30 a year, and it puts it on all the platforms,
Right.
except on Sirius streaming and satellite radio. So we are going to probably partner with a distributor to get those going on Sirius as far as that goes. You know.
So, all that said, do you like to be thought of as a comedian that's a good musician, a musician that also has comic chops? Do you have a way of describing what it is you do after all this time?
I think now I would say I'm a musician and a comedian. I put it in that order. I did stand up for 6 years, and then I transitioned to using the guitar. And I think now it is, the predominant form of entertainment in my act. I think
Mhm.
it's going to allow me to explore, writing music for other, whatchamacallit, like other avenues, writing music for, maybe children's music or
Mhm.
animated show, animated movie, things like that. I think it's more of leaning towards the music thing. Even though I have an acting background as well, but who knows? I might sing in a movie. I might do a reboot of The Wedding Singer or something. You know what I mean? Who knows?
I worked for Stephen Lynch on Broadway,
Mm-hmm.
and that is a musical comic. I say that because in the 80s, it was kind of looked at as a hack thing when you saw
Yeah.
comic on stage. Not that I was old enough to really be paying attention to it, but when you hear comedians who call everyone else hacks, they would talk
Yeah.
about it being a hack thing to have that on there. Then I think we saw Stephen Lynch doing original music that was funny.
So good.
Over time, Nick Thune and Dimitri Martin more using it as a background going on instrument, but you're back to the songs. You're not
Yeah.
background music kind of performer.
Yeah, and I think there's been a lot of, like you said, Stephen Lynch was one of the first examples I threw out when I saw his Comedy Central special. I absolutely loved it, and Nick Thune is also fantastic. Like you said, all these people are great. There's another band that's emerging now called the Wolves of Glendale, and
Oh,
they just finished opening for Tenacious D, and they are absolutely fantastic, and they're buddies. And I saw them at a show the other night, and they're also going the music route, writing songs, but they're a band. So my musical act kind of tries to involve the crowd a little bit more than other
Yeah.
musical acts. Um, because I find that when you just sing the song, and I do have songs like that where you're just singing, the audience is just really passive, you know what I mean? And they're just sort of, it's hard for them to tell, like, should I be listening to this or should I be laughing at this? How do I interact with this, So that's why I try to incorporate the crowd a little bit as much as I can and make those punchlines really clear. I mean, look at somebody like Flight of the Conchords also. I mean, they're also fantastic. I thought their HBO special was wonderful, looked beautiful. It just was like a really good example of how a musical comedy could really be a real concert.
Yeah, the opposite end of the spectrum. And I'm a big Steel Panther fan, but would be Steel Panther, where that is a band doing jokes,
Right.
but they would never ever play a comedy club. They're just playing
Right.
traditional comedy venues. So I think that the best and worst thing about what you do is you could just figure out what it is that you do and do it. That's the
Exactly.
best,
No,
because nobody's exactly doing what you do.
right.
Whereas it's a comedian that's telling 6-minute stories, obviously the career path is defined.
100%. Yeah, and I think this year, with the new like hour that I'm going on a 30 city tour, I'll be working on something a little bit more. There's going to be multimedia involved. There's going to be parts of the show that don't have any music. There's going to
Hmm.
be, for me, it's always about how can we evolve, right? And
Yeah.
it's, I could keep writing funny songs after funny songs, but how can we kind of change the act? I mean, I know this is lame, but I treat myself. I have like a mission statement,
Mhm.
and if we let that inform the performance, then it gives us an opportunity to evolve and change the act over the 5 years, 10 years, however long I decide to do this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And you changed where I was going with all that when you mentioned, hey, I might want to do a children's project, that kind of a thing,
Yeah.
where I guess you're just always creating in some form. In other
Yeah.
words,
Absolutely.
you're not the kind of performer that can only work out, to use the comedian term, work out by going to the comedy cellar. There's a lot of different ways that you're creating.
Yeah.
Therefore, it seems like it's no shortage of creativity for you, no shortage of inspiration.
Yeah, I mean, I like to sing. I like to write music. I've performed at music shows. I did a little bit of dabbling in children's parties before I was making a living doing comedy.
Like that
Uh,
TV show, The Z Brothers, that like
yeah,
YouTube, but real
honestly,
life.
yeah, honestly, like because I did that, and there's a market for everything, and those babies are my audience too. You know what I mean? And I guess it just offers me more opportunities to think of it as an art form more than it doesn't have. I mean, there's so many comedians that just do stand up that went other routes too. Like who became serious actors who won
Right.
Academy Awards and things like that. So
Michael Keaton being
Michael
one.
Keaton, yeah, Adam Sandler. I don't know if he's won an Oscar, but he's been in so many notable films. You know what I mean?
If no
Uh,
Oscar, he's got the Mark Twain Prize, which
oh, that's coming 100%. Wait, did that come already? Did that happen with him?
I think that just happened. I missed that special, but hey,
Yeah.
kudos to him for turning it around after Billy Madison in the critic's eyes.
Right, right. And then you have even somebody like Jon Stewart who
Yeah.
totally pivoted his I never saw his stand up early on, but I don't know if it was always political or what, but he's become one of like the most predominant voices of a generation and
Totally.
really speaking truth to, so I think there's so many ways it can grow.
So another thing from your bio that intrigues me, anytime I speak to somebody who went to NYU, I like
Yeah.
to find out who they were in school with that we may know.
Yeah,
For
of course.
example,
I could tell you right away.
so
My
were you of the Miles Teller generation or the
I
Donald Glover?
I sat next to Miles in class. In I think we had the class was like theater for community, like community theater, like how theater outreaches. I also graduated with Alana Glazer.
Oh yeah,
I forget if Sam Morrill went to NYU or if I just always saw him around New York a lot.
yeah.
But he was always around. Um, there's other people. Oh, this other guy, Ismael Cordova. He's the elf in the Lord of the Rings show, one of the elves in the Lord of the Rings show. I
Hmm,
graduated. John Early.
yeah.
I graduated with Chloe Feynman was the year right below me. I
Yeah.
don't know if you know Nick Kosher from this sketch group called Britannic, but they became writers for SNL. They're absolutely fantastic. I was with a really good group of people, and I think everybody's kind of working and doing stuff. So I was lucky enough to do that. Those are just some of the names that people might know.
That's really confusing in retrospect when you think about it, because college is supposed to be the time when, yeah, you do your work, you make some friends, but you make a bunch of mistakes. Whereas you're going to Tisch and
Yeah,
everybody's auditioning in the off time from when they're trying to make friends and learn stuff applicable to their degree. In other
yeah.
words, it's like boot camp more than it is college.
Well, yeah, New York was really cool because by my first open mic, I was 18. It was the Welcome Week open mic. I thought it was going to be 20 students. There was 400 students there, and then I didn't really get into it until my spring semester where I was doing some bringer shows. I mean, I think one of the first bringer shows.
So
Yeah,
is there a chance that you are one of the people that I walked by and said, you guys like comedy?
yeah.
Comics from Chappelle's show and 30 Rock?
It's very possible I was barking. Honestly, one of the first bringer shows I ever did, Patrice O'Neill was the headliner at Stand Up New York, and that was just like so cool. It was like 8 bringers, and then he was closing the show out. And then at the time, you don't realize what a heavy hitter this person is, and they're just working the clubs. But I think that was my second bringer show, and my first one was at New York Comedy Club on 23rd Street or 24th Street, right by
Yeah,
Baruch College,
yeah.
somewhere around there. That's how I remember it. And I remember I brought like 30 people, and it was like a whole thing. But then after a while, it gets hard to get your friends to come out. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. When to show the evolution of NYU, when my brother went there in the early 90s, it was more about the celebrity children that went there.
Oh yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
it's like, hey, Billy Crystal's daughter's on my floor, and you're supposed to go, ooh, hey,
yeah.
Punky Brewster might be coming here this semester. Wow. And now you go, well, yeah, Donald Glover and
Yeah.
Morton J. And
Do you know who I helped move into the dorm the first day?
who's
Was
that?
Mara Wilson. She played Matilda in the
Yeah.
movies. And me and my buddy, I didn't realize it was her. We helped her move some of her stuff into her. We were in the same dorm building. I think we also went to school with Spike Lee, right? Yeah, Spike Lee's daughter was in our year. Probably some other notable ones too. I think Alec Baldwin had a daughter at NYU too. Because the school's so big, and the university has like 8 different schools. They have like
Oh, yeah.
business, and so I'm sure we went to school with some other notables that it's hard.
And that's without even counting the Dubai campus, the replica.
Oh my God. Wait, what? Is there a Dubai campus?
Didn't they rebuild the NYU campus somewhere in that region?
Of course, Dubai will be doing stuff like that. Dubai be
I,
doing it extravagant things like that are unnecessary.
exactly. Well, actually, that's another thing I'm curious about. Do you have it? The show Crashing showed a lot of
Yeah.
people who aren't insiders about the world of college gigs and corporate gigs, that kind of a thing. Do you have a defined corporate gig set when you need to?
Yeah. So at this point, I released my third special, my third album essentially, and I have another hour that I'm working on. So I have so much to draw from. I have a corporate song that is not on my special. It's a song specifically for corporate events. I have, so for me, I definitely can work clean and pick the songs that are going to hit different for different venues. Colleges as well. Um, Colleges I could be a little bit more flexible, but I tend to make those shows incredibly interactive because especially now the students, you might say I'm a bad artist because I'm tailoring my set to the venue or the
No.
audience, but I'm just also trying to get a paycheck right now because we all trying to work, and like I have the songs that I love to sing for when I do the comedy clubs, right? But I also have the sets where we got to get it. We're doing a show and there's a banquet and nobody's listening. So what songs am I going to do for that? You know what I mean? So definitely have an act for every type of occasion.
You're only a bad comic or bad creative if you're listening to the hacks that are going, I'm always right, the audience is always wrong, which is clearly not the case of what you're doing.
Yeah, and I think people forget that comedy is the only, and correct me if I'm wrong, the only art form that has a defined outcome, which is laughter, right? So if you go to a museum, nobody's expecting you to laugh, to cry, to feel some sort of emotion. If you listen to a song, nobody's expecting you to laugh or cry or feel anything. But when you pay, $20 to $50 for a ticket to go to a comedy club and you buy chicken fingers and a Budweiser, you expect to laugh at the show. And if you don't, you're gonna get your money back. You want your money back, or you're gonna be pissed off. You know what I mean?
I
So
would say you also have the distinction of being in a medium where they don't want the show to go more than 2 hours. They want to get you in
right.
and out so they can cycle, and nobody wants to hear the same thing twice for the most.
Exactly. The only in my experience though, I'm finding now that as I get more clout and followers and a little bit more recognized, people will buy tickets to my shows and actually request songs. So it's actually treated kind of like a concert. Like they want to come and they want to sing along, which is really cool, honestly, with the replay value, you know what I mean?
And then it increases the value of your publishing catalog. So in about 15 years, when you sell it off to private equity,
Right, right.
in.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if somebody wants that song about splitting the check, that revolutionary, edgy song about splitting the check.
Before I ask my last question there,
Yeah.
I learned that to a younger, possibly overly woke audience, that going Dutch is offensive as a term. Have you ever heard that?
I haven't heard that, but I will say, because I do a lot of crowd work,
Yeah.
I have found instances where I like mess up a pronoun.
Oh,
And
yeah.
like I feel like within the next 5 years, it will be common practice when I do a crowd work and I call somebody, I'll say, "You two, real quick before we continue, what are your pronouns?" Because there was an instance or two where I said they, I didn't realize what they were saying.
Yeah.
They were referring to somebody next to them as they and as them. And I was confused. I'm like, who else are you talking about? And you were like, them. And I was like, oh, I realize what's happening right now. So I
Yeah.
think there will be a world where it's just going to shift. It's going to change.
Yeah.
One of the things about my special that I've gotten feedback about and I've seen in comments, they were like, it's nice to see a special where like the comedian isn't talking about like what they can't say or talking about things that are offensive. They literally just did their act. You know what I mean? So in that way, I'm proud of that. It's just I just wanted to do something that was entertaining. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And to add to that, so many of these junkets I do, the person puts their pronouns in parentheses next to their name on the Zoom label. So that's how things have evolved further.
Oh, I just put my Instagram. Yeah, that's what I do. Hey, look,
Really?
I've always even on my phone when I'm airdropping, that's what it says at Morgan J. It's
Well,
always, you know.
that actually ties into the last thing which I want to know, which was what is the best way to get information about your next hour,
Yeah.
about the tour dates? And the reason I say is because some people will go, "Oh, I'm not going to do Twitter, or I can't do TikTok. I'm over 40," or that
Yeah, I
kind of
get
a
it.
thing. What's the best way to follow you in general?
Best way now is actually go to my website, morganjay.com, Jay, because right at the top, you'll see the special. Scroll down a little bit, you'll see all the tour dates. If you want to see me posting clips, TikTok is the best way. I post every day to TikTok and Instagram. And I go live every day on Instagram, on TikTok, every day just to promote and promote. I mean, TikTok is basically the way you want to look at it is just an advertising tool for me. I'm trying to move tickets so that I'm not really gaining an income from those apps, but I feel like this is a long answer to the question you asked. But yeah, morganj.com, or you could just Google me. It should pop up. I'm also on the new season a while now. I'll be on season 19, 20, and 21. And that's what I got going on.
You're hanging with the biggest comedian that nobody knows is a multi-arena headlining comedian, Rip Michaels.
That's right. Rip Michaels and they dog on Rip so much on the show. They make fun of Rip so much. It's crazy.
But hey, look, same night he headlined an arena in DC and Baltimore. Hey, make fun of him all you want. Rip is doing it.
It's
But
incredible. Yeah.
bottom line, thank you for your time. Thank you for the years of great comedy and music. And
Thank
really
you.
looking forward to what's to come from you in the near future, Morgan.
I can't thank you enough for taking the time and keep watering those plants because it's a good position.
Paltrocast.